Hello guys. Oh, wonderful little snippet here. I say wonderful, but it's a lot. As you may have guessed, we're going into 1 Kings part 8, and we are learning about the succession and the transition of the kings and the way the kings are structured here in this section of 1 Kings. Of course, we are familiar with Jeroboam and Rehoboam. A little bit confusing because the names are very similar, but we have Jeroboam and we also have Rehoboam ruling different parts of Israel. So that's just Jeroboam was given the large section, while Rehoboam was given Jerusalem and Judah specifically. Okay, so just to preface with that, we also have this short quote called The Eternal Triangle. Okay, and this is from book Review in the Daily Chronicle from December 5th, 1907. So thinking of the Eternal Triangle biblically, or I guess from a Catholic gaze, we think of the Holy Trinity, right? That's just kind of the first thing that comes to mind. And without knowing the context at which this Eternal Triangle reference comes from, just a quick Google search is talking about a love triangle, right? We have either two women and a man, two women or a man, or either two men and a woman going through a love triangle situation. Okay, so quote seems to be a little bit out of context, but what we have here is kind of an endless succession of kings, almost like an eternal square or something of that nature. Okay, because we have a ruler of all the rest of Israel, right? And then we have a ruler of specifically Jerusalem or Judah, and then their sons taking up succession, because of course in the nature of King David and King Solomon, these individuals had lots of sons, right, to go ahead and succeed them essentially. So it kind of forms this eternal square that we'll be talking about very shortly. Okay. And I think Ian is about to come in, so just give me a second. Yes, he's about to come in. Give us one moment here. I have the critters here. Critter. Hey, baby. I'm doing my Bible study. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin with chapter 14. We have here, at that time, Abijah, son of Jeroboam, became ill. And Jeroboam said to his wife, "Go disguise yourself so you can be recognized as the wife of Jeroboam, then go to Shiloh. Ahijah the prophet is there, the one who told me I would be king over his people." So if we remember Ahijah the prophet, it says it here what he did, but he was the one to tell Jeroboam, with the cloak situation, you're going to take, these portions of Israel, right? 10 portions of Israel. So that was that situation. It says here, so when Ahijah heard the sound of her footsteps at the door, he said, "Come in, wife of Jeroboam. Why this pretense? I have been sent to you with bad news." So Ahijah is already keen on this being Jeroboam's wife, even though she was said to disguise herself and go incognito. The Lord actually came to Ahijah and told him that she would be coming, and this is what to tell her when she arrives. So that's just that, right? He's a prophet. He has that connection and that relationship. It says here, "Go tell Jeroboam that this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I raised you up from among the people and appointed you ruler over my people Israel. I tore the kingdom away from the house of David and gave it to you. But you have not been like my servant David, who kept my commands and followed me with all his heart, doing only right in my eyes. The Lord will raise him up for himself a king over Israel, who will cut off the family of Jeroboam. Even now this is beginning to happen." So without going into extra detail here, there's actually a lot more that the Lord describes here in chapter 14, and it is very harsh, and it is very not so nice towards Jeroboam and his line of kings, or his sons. So he essentially, if you want to read it, go read it, but he's very, very harsh and strict with the ruling. Why? Because Jeroboam had the false idols, right? He created the idols out of metal, and he instructed the Israelites to go and pray to them instead of going up and worshiping offerings in Jerusalem, doing offerings in Jerusalem. Anywho, that was kind of the big no-no, if I can say here. So it says here, then Jeroboam's wife got up, left, and went to Tirzah. As soon as she stepped over the threshold of the house, the boy died. So that was a given. Without Ahijah saying, okay, your son is going to die because of this, this, and this, he was very clear that the line of Jeroboam would be destroyed and cut off forever, essentially. So that's that, okay? He died. It's very unfortunate. People did mourn for this because he was next in line. It says here, the other events of Jeroboam's reign, his wars, and how he ruled, are written in the book of the Annals of the Kings of Israel. He reigned for 22 years and then rested with his ancestors. And Nadab, his son, succeeded him as king. Okay, so he did have a succession. Like I had mentioned, these kings had lots of sons and family members, wives, really, to go ahead and succeed him. So even though Abijah could not be king, he has here Nadab, who succeeded him. It says another thing here, the book of Annals of the Kings of Israel. I'm wondering if this is something that is still referenceable. I'm sure there's something put together here, but it's mentioned a lot in 1 Kings how there is this text that lists really everything in regards to the kings of Israel. Book of Annals, Kings of Israel. Just wondering here. It's not something that's talked about, so I'm wondering. Chronicles. Is there a book of Annals of the Kings of Israel? It says the book of the Kings of Israel is a non-canonical. Okay, that's my work referred to in the Hebrew Bible. So I guess this is not something that is referenced at all. It's non-canonical, meaning not of the church. Can I close the last definition of Hebrew Bible? I don't know. It seems like it's a little bit hard to find. I'm sure on Amazon here is coming up with something. Of course. Synchronistical annals of the kings and prophets of Israel and Judah and the kings of Syria, Assyria, Babylon, and Egypt mentioned in the scriptures. So I guess this William Jenkins had compiled something, but I guess this was something that is not publicly able to be found, okay? Anyways, let's go ahead and continue. Nadab, his son, succeeded him as king. So, of course, Jeroboam has a succession. The events which the Lord talks about are soon to come, I'm sure. I haven't transcribed everything yet, so we'll see what ends up happening to Jeroboam's line. It says here, Rehoboam, son of Solomon, was king in Judah, as we discussed. He was 41 years old when he became king, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem. The city the Lord had chosen out of all the tribes in Israel, had chosen out of all the tribes in Israel, in which to put his name. Okay, so Jerusalem was like the chosen city, right? And in that we have the tribe of Judah, which Solomon's son Rehoboam was king. All right, to put it simply, it says his mother's name was Naamah. She was an Ammonite, and in this section, it's actually mentioned twice in this first portion and at the very end. It's very important for us to know that his mother's name was Naamah and that she was an Ammonite, I guess, right? It says here, in the 5th year of King Rehoboam, Shishak, king of Egypt, attacked Jerusalem. He carried off the treasures of the temple of the Lord and the treasures of the royal palace. He took everything, including all the gold shields Solomon had made. So King Rehoboam made bronze shields to replace them, and assigned these to the commanders of the guard on duty at the entrance of the royal palace. So it is unclear here. It says they took everything, right, in the temple and the royal palace. So all those treasures that Solomon had created and accumulated over his time and his reign, it says they were all gone, taken back to Egypt. Has me wondering about the Ark of the Covenant. It does not say specifically whether that came or went, although it does say everything, but you'd think they would mention that and put that in there. But anyways, it says here there was also continual warfare between Rehoboam and Jeroboam, okay, and Rehoboam rested with his ancestors eventually and was buried with them in the city of David. And Abijah, his son, succeeded him as king. I hope you're understanding here. Abijah is also the son of Rehoboam. So Jeroboam had a son named Abijah, which he died at the very beginning here. And Rehoboam also has a son named Abijah. Just the congruencies, right? It's giving that eternal square. Like, they're both rulers of Israel, and then they both have sons named Abijah. Jeroboam is the one who had his son Abijah pass, and Rehoboam, we actually have Abijah as the successor of Judah. So very interesting. I'm assuming it was a common name, okay, during the time, but it's just a little bit ironic how they both have sons of the same name. Abijah too means child of God, if you were curious. Something too I didn't mention, both Rehoboam and Jeroboam were not followers of the Lord. They, especially Rehoboam, even in Judah and Jerusalem, they set up Asherah poles, and they were worshiping Asherah, right? So they were both disobedient to the Lord. They were not committed to the idea of one God whatsoever. So that is what, you know, they had problems, okay? But there were problems, and we'll see how long the line and their succession continues to dominate. But with the guise of what the Lord had said to the prophet, at least for Jeroboam's side, it might not be too eternal of a square, okay? That's it, you guys. It's a little confusing during this. I know we're going to just be back to back to back talking about different kings and things like that, so bear with me. We had a hard time going through Judges, doing this rapid succession of time, really. Instead of just focusing on one narrative and, you know, one person for a good segment, we're focusing on a lot of different people over a long period of time. So it can be a little bit overwhelming, but it's good information to have. Like I said, it's always learning, and, you know, we're coming together with a good consensus on the Bible, right? It's a very interesting text. So we're excited to do so. And I appreciate you guys listening. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Enjoy your Friday. We already had a little break of a weekend, and now we get a nice official weekend. So enjoy. Have a great day. Bye-bye.